David Oyelowo of Lawmen, Bass, Reeves. Paramount Plus is how you can catch it. Also right here on the Roku channel, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So let's just jump right into it here. How do you learn about the character Bass Reeves? What a fascinating character you are playing on this program right now.
Yeah, someone approached me in 2014, a producer, about the idea of making a show about Bass Reeves. And as I said, growing up, wanting to be a cowboy, loving Westerns, I just couldn't believe I hadn't heard anything about Bass Reeves, considering who he was, what he achieved, just how impressive his record was. And so that's where the obsession, truly, of getting this made began.
Okay, and so he's a lawman that comes from enslavement.
Yeah. So
into a role of authority.
Yeah, and that's what you see at the beginning of our show. You see him fighting on the side of the Confederacy. He is enslaved at that point. He comes out of enslavement. He lives with Native American tribes for a number of years, including the Seminole, the Creek, the Choctaw. That's where he learns a lot of the skills he employs when he eventually, after being a farmer for about 10 years, becomes deputized as a deputy U.S. Marshal, goes on to have a 32-year career in law enforcement with over 1,000 arrests. But the thing that's truly impressive is the proximity of being enslaved with now having the authority to arrest white people, some of whom still think of you as a slave. And you know, you can only imagine how terrifying that could have been.
And then this show is going to be about other lawmen and also villains other than what we're seeing right now, correct?
Yeah, I
that's
think
the idea of this show and success.
That's the idea. I mean, I think there's a general consensus that someone like Bass Reeves should have had a show, a film, a myriad of things done about them. And so let's go find who are those others who have been sort of fallen between the cracks or on the fringes of history that shouldn't be, and make shows about them.
Not to get too ahead, because obviously we're still in what we're talking about right here. Have you already identified who these characters might be?
Not yet. You know, like you say, you don't want to jump too far ahead. We only just found out about it being the most watched show globally on Paramount Plus a few days ago.
How about that, right?
It's pretty great. So I imagine Paramount are going to want to do more, but that's still fresh paint.
They want answers, I'm sure, at some point. And obviously playing a character of significance and wanting to do that character justice. This is, I imagine, nothing compared to playing Martin Luther King Jr., one would say?
Oh, it's up there. It's up there. I mean, anytime you are in any way now going to be part of the legacy of a historical character of this level of import, you know, it's a burden. But I can't afford to think about that. You're never going to please everyone, and all you can do is go in and do the best job you possibly can. If I can say that after engaging in an endeavor like this, then I'm happy, and I can truly say that about this.
Well, let's talk about Selma a little bit here. Again, in 2014, you played Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in that awesome film. How did you prepare for that role? How did that happen?
Well, I was weirdly enough a beneficiary of just how long it took to get the film made. Bass Reeves took 8 years, obviously, since 2014 when it first came my way.
Yes.
Selma, I first read the script in 2007, and like you say, you know, the world wasn't seeing it till 2014, and I became one of the elements that really pushed to get that film made. But because we had so many false starts, but I was absolutely determined that it would happen. I was doing research, I was reading, I was talking to people all through those 7 years. I also had the privilege of being in films like Lincoln and The Butler and Red Tails and The Help, all in the meantime, all of which was giving me historical context for Selma.
So who were you reaching out to? Did you reach out to anybody from Dr. King's orbit?
Yeah, I spoke to Andrew Young, who was his right-hand man, and I spoke to him a fair bit. I spoke to John Lewis, who, you know, has since passed away, but, you know, there were so many people who had their own specific relationship to him. And what we mostly know are the speeches and the public persona. But to speak to people who actually knew him, his children, I spent time with all of his children as well, talking to them about him. And so that was all incredibly helpful.
I have to ask about John Lewis a little bit more. The Good Trouble, you talked to you about Good Trouble and things of that nature?
You know what?
Or what happened with historically?
Yeah, he did to a certain extent. But my John Lewis moment was, we were shooting Selma. I hadn't had FaceTime with him at this point when we were shooting, and a PA came to my door and knocked, said, I have someone here to see you. I was in my trailer, and I stayed in character the whole time we were shooting.
You did?
I did, for the 3 months we were shooting. And so the PA knocked, someone here to see you. I opened the door, and it's John Lewis. He's visiting the set.
Did you not know he was on the other
I didn't
side?
know. I didn't know he was visiting.
Okay.
And you can only imagine what that feels like. But as I say, I'm in character. I'm talking as him. I'm sort of moving like him. That was just my process. And John Lewis sees me, and out of his mouth came the words, "Dr. King, it is so good to see you again." And I just didn't know what to do with myself, because I could see him completely time machine-like go back to somewhere else. And in that moment, I was Dr. King for him, and it was just the most precious thing.
Did you stay in character?
I did, because, for me, I had to go and do a scene.
Sure,
and I was about to do a scene that he was going to stay for. It was the scene that we had done, this recreation of an Ebenezer Baptist Church scene. And thankfully, I was so nervous about him literally being there, but there was a thunderstorm, and we suddenly had to shut down till the thunderstorm passed, and then he had to leave. And I was like, thank you, Lord, you love me so much, because I would have been terrified to do a speech in front of him.
So at some point, though, when he said that to you, and a quiet moment for yourself, you're like, okay, I think I've got this role nailed. If he said that to you, because I'm sure somebody must have given him a heads up. He's in character. This is what he's doing. This is his job, and he obviously understands what you were attempting.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean, he didn't have to say that to you.
He didn't, and I will never know.
Sure.
I just hold that as such a precious moment. But another person with whom I had that kind of moment was Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, who, was on the fence about a film being made, to be perfectly honest. And I went to the King Museum in Atlanta, and again, I didn't know she was there, but her office is there, and we were just doing a tour, and someone said, "Dr. King is here to see you," and I was like, "What? What do you mean, Dr. King is here?" And it was Bernice King, and she saw me, and she gave me her blessing. I wasn't in character then; it was before we started shooting, but I'd put on the weight, I'd shaved my hairline back, and she saw me, and I could see in her eyes also that she was co-signing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
David Oyelowo here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay. How does somebody from Oxford sound like Bass Reeves? Like, what's your, who are you drawn from here? What do you got for me?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. Well,
Thank you.
that's that's my job. You got to go find the character. We listened to a lot of recordings from the early 1900s of people who had been enslaved during that era, so who would have been about Bass's age in the 1860s, 1870s.
Yes.
Now, they have the sound, but they've lost their teeth. They have that old people raspy thing.
Okay.
So you're now having to sort of clean that up and decipher what the accent would be. And I work with a dialect coach called Denise Woods, and we built the accent from there.
Okay. How tough is that to lose your accent?
I mean, it
sounds wonderful. I mean,
you.
You sound erudite. You sound wonderful. Like you're classing up the joint. But
Well, you have a bunch of sports people on here. It's like asking them how they do what they do. It's that 10,000 hours. I went to drama school. A lot of what we did was breaking down accents, and I've done a few of them now. So it's just that muscle.
You're
you keep
a pro.
flexing.
It's basically what you said.
I'm a pro.
So
I'm a pro.
See how he's classing up the place? You could just say, "Rich, I'm a professional." What the hell are you asking that?
I'm a pro, Rich. I'm a pro.
Thank you very much. You don't ask basketball players how do you shoot. I got it. I understand. And you're a fan of UFC, huh?
Yeah, big fan.
Okay.
I love it. It's weird. It helps me relax. I don't know why. I know. My wife says the same thing.
It helps you relax.
Yeah. Here's my theory.
You see, people are getting their asses handed to them.
Exactly. But it's finite. You train, you have a goal, you have 3-minute rounds. Sometimes it's a 3-round match or 5, and it's finite. With making movies or TV shows, Bass Reeves, 8 years.
That's right.
Selma, 7 years. You don't know when you're gonna get, but this is clean, and there's something just. A knockout is just. It's like okay, and moving on. Who gets knocked out next?
But do you? again, you like the violence of it? Is that what you're saying too?
I don't see it as violence. It just feels pure to me.
Okay.
I know. You're looking at me like my wife looks at me, which is a bit weird thing to say.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to compute.
She's as confused as you, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not gonna lie. Does she watch with you?
She watches me watching it because my whole Saturday is just MMA.
Really?
Yeah.
So how are you watching MMA then? I mean, are you getting off the couch?
I'm on the couch. You're going from match to match to match to match. It's just.
So who's your fighter? What do you like?
Oh gosh, well, I love Israel Adesanya. I was so upset when he got beaten by Sean Strickland recently.
He's been here a couple times.
Oh yeah,
I love his personality. I love it. He's great.
His personality, but his fighting style, so unique, so poetic to watch. He's an artist with his fighting. Volkanovski is another favorite. He's become a favorite. Leon Edwards is a fellow Brit, current welterweight champ. Looking forward to the Colby Covington fight soon. So. Yeah, but there was this amazing era when it was Kamaru Usman, it was Israel Adesanya, and it was Francis Ngannou. As a proud West African myself, that was a pretty cool moment.
Do you ever want to try it yourself at all, or no?
I think I'm past that moment where I could, I'm an actor, not the face, not the face.
It's the moneymaker.
Right.
Careful with the moneymaker.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very good. New episodes of Lawmen, Bass, Reeves airs Sunday, exclusively on Paramount Plus, which you can also catch right here on the Roku portal and platform. Lawmen, Bass, Reeves is Paramount Plus's most watched series premiere globally this year. Tell me about Role Play, sir, before and the Book of Clarence. You got a lot going on.
Oh yeah, a few things. Yeah, Role Play is a cool action comedy I've just done with Kaylee Cuoco, and we're a happily married couple until I find out she's an assassin, and that's always going to put a wrench in any marriage.
Yes, it will. Putting a wrench. That's one way to put it.
Yeah,
sure. Okay.
Yeah. So that's coming out January 12th, and also on January 12th, and that's on Amazon Prime. But also on January 12th in theaters is The Book of Clarence, which is a sort of irreverent, but yet in a weird way reverent telling of the Jesus story, but through the eyes of doubting Thomas's brother, Clarence.
Clarence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you Clarence?
I'm not Clarence. I'm John the Baptist, who has a real problem with the fact that Clarence is a false prophet.
Yeah. That's a wrench too.
Yeah. He's a wrench in the whole Bible story.
Man, so you're Bass Reeves, Martin Luther King Jr., and John the Baptist.
Yes.
Look at you. That's called range. That's what that's called.
I'm a pro, Rich.
That is called. You said you want to be the Lone Ranger. You have range, sir. You bet. You are a pro. David Oyelowo, congrats on everything going on in your career. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's do this some more. You got it. Certainly, since you're neighbors with Brockman, this is what we decided, right?
Tarzana.
How about that?
That's my guy.
He's got. You have 4 kids, right?
I have 4. Yeah.
He's got 1, but he's not home right now. He's alone.
Not home. I'm solo.
Yeah.
Really? Where's your child?
Yeah. Great question.
We'll talk about that offline.
That's all right.
No. His mom are in Georgia, where her family is.
Yeah, she's doing stand-up tonight, so she's performing.
Yeah,
so he's by himself.
Oh wow.
I don't know. I mean, he used to come to my house for dinner all the time before he got a life. But
now second fiddle to the kid.
I don't know what you're doing tonight.
Oh wow.
You can bring
nice.
I don't know. The Brockmans and the Oyelowos can get together.
You want to watch some Thursday Night Football?
It's on Prime.
Yeah. Let's do it.
It's Thursday Night Football, the home also of Role Play. It's Prime Video.
Amazon
there you go.
Prime.
Coming up. All right. There you go. Neighbors. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.